All right, guys, and we are back for round two. Round two pairings just got announced, so in a second here, we'll go ahead and jump from table to table and try and find an interesting matchup for you guys. Round one, very exciting. We saw Asui versus Nomu. That was awesome. Going into game two, our second match, we ended up seeing Shoji be able to try and defend Eraserhead, and Eraserhead being able to string in some very powerful attacks to be able to close out the game there, which is awesome. I know a lot of people are talking about Ojiro. We're going to see if we can find her boy, but, there's only so many matchups, so we'll see if we can get there. If you guys know of any players who are playing Ojiro, I am very much obliged to showcase the deck. Not a problem there. Let us see.
People are still loading into their tables right now.
So we'll be jumping into one in just a moment. I mean, Ojiro would be super cool to see. I mean, lots of characters that we only saw as one-ofs in last week's would be a ton of fun. I mean, if we could find a Kamui Woods, I think that'd be a fantastic showcase.
If we can get a Ojiro versus Bakugo, that'd be awesome.
That would be very sweet, especially
two birds, one stone.
Yeah, especially considering that we've been seeing, Bakugo actually represented in good numbers for a while now. So. So we're just going to be jumping around tables for a second, guys. Try and find ourselves a matchup here. No, how about not the Kirishima matchup? Just jumping from table to table. They haven't started. Lanoko is out here. I mean, what's Lanoko playing? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he's up against Shoto, so I'm kind of biased. I am very much biased here. It is Shoto versus Mineta. All right, I'm making an exclusive decision here. This is the matchup.
Now I did find a Mina versus Bakugo though.
All right, hold that table. We will jump there as soon as this one's done.
Noted. I'll write that down. All right, let's see here. I gotta find you. Okay, target acquired.
Yeah, over in table 9. Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into that gameplay here.
Ooh, this is gonna be a good one.
All right,
so Mineta was my first deck when the card game came out. First competitive deck, yeah. I started out with Nomu because he was the XR that I pulled. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna build him because it's an XR,
Yeah, of course.
And then I quickly realized, oh man, Mineta can control left and right.
Yes, it can.
It doesn't matter. And I was playing him so wrong. I didn't know I could do it on the defense as well as the offense. I could tap him down. So I was like, oh, this card is great.
Yeah. Let's see. Mineta starts at what? What's the life total? 20 something?
27, I think.
Sounds good enough for me. And then
we just round up, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, he's got it right there. 27. All right, easy.
Bam.
So yeah, so I like this whole thing that people are doing with their phones. I think that's probably what I'll start doing for tournaments whenever I play. Just make it very abundantly clear what our life totals are.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was encouraging players when we were doing the webcam setups. Hey, if you can keep track of both your health and your opponent's, it just makes it so much easier.
Exactly.
Alrighty then, Mineta's starting off strong.
Now, so we should.
And a solid 4 build kicking us off, and then moving on over to Shoto's turn. Reviewing away. I feel like I'm the only one. A lot of people are calling him Todoroki, and I might be one of the few people actually bothered to call him Shoto.
Yell it like Endeavor does.
Yeah. All right, so build 4, a lot of attacks here, which you actually don't mind because all of those are gonna prime up your Todoroki for some very strong attacks moving into turns 2 and 3.
So it looks like we have Mineta on order and Shoto on water. Interesting.
I do like Shoto on water. I think it's incredibly explosive. You get some of the most pushed in terms of damage, and you get some of like Wall Cling's incredibly good in the deck, especially when you're chilling as a 20 life character. So I'm a big fan of the water symbol in Shoto, for sure.
I think my most recent build of him, I was playing him on the order, just so I could get all of the cancellation, all the no's that you love.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
This is interesting. Both decks are very control heavy, so I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been like your go-to targeting cancellation with Shoto? Do you go for like the combo kill? Do you go for the, oh hey, you just discarded 2 cards, I'm gonna cancel it so you don't draw 2 and you just discard it for free? Or is it like a flex for you where you just kind of bounce around what's
it's
necessary?
Definitely flex. I think it just depends on like what you're going up against in terms of characters. Because some characters, struggle more with card draw, whereas some will struggle more with that damage output. But generally, I will go for whatever stops their cheating, right? Like Shoto's extremely good against anything that's trying to multi-enhance things, or like whenever their enhance is like, if this enhance doesn't go through, then basically my entire turn is stopped. That's the points where I think you want to find your ability to be able to go and do it, for sure.
I can dig it. It's definitely gonna be interesting. If I remember correctly, Water Shoto provides a player with a whole bunch of ranged attacks.
Yep, you're completely ranged, and then you have the access to some annoying cards, like, well, Mineta's cards actually. So like Eat My Sticky Balls is like incredibly annoying. You have Sticky Balls in terms of a foundation, which can be really good. So like you're basically kind of like clogging up your opponent's card pool, and giving yourself more opportunities to be able to do some big damage.
Now, on the flip side, Mineta also has, of course, access to his own card pool set. The Sticky Balls attack doesn't quite work against a lot of Shoto's stuff. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play into effect.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're kicking it off. Big builds on both ends. We're looking at 8 foundations to, I think, 4, 7.
Oh, 8.
So very well equipped to be able to do what they need to do here.
What are those? Are those like Hershey Kisses or something? I don't know what those are.
Just tokens, I think. Just spherical
tokens. Okay. That's like some kind of like
just
candy.
Yeah, just
that's
little.
So while you're bored, just go ahead and get rid of speed. Just start eating the snacks.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what follows this setup strike.
It looked like he only had 1 attack in his discard pile, so there's not really too much you can learn from that.
Yeah, besides maybe, the next couple of checks might be more likely to be attacks, or maybe he just has a lot of attacks in hands. So
absolutely. Ooh, getting that breaker too, it looks like.
Yep, super solid card. So some of you might think this is Giant Ice Wall, but it's not Giant Ice Wall because the beauty of misprints.
They're special editions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's funny. I think I told you the other day I was reorganizing my game room and I was doing a lot of chord management. And so I was like, no, just leave it as is and just call it stylized or something. I was like, I like that.
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Stylized chord.
Yeah. So Ice Storm, so good. Breaker, powerful. Like this card, it's a 4-check. Does a lot for what it is.
It's strong. It does a lot. Yeah, it's a lot packed in on that 4 difficulty check. it's just a lot.
All right,
okay, so
just to set up strike into the sticky balls, and no, we're not going to commit for the sticky balls, and we're just going to call it there. Okay.
Interesting.
I'm surprised. Sticky balls is a very strong one. I feel like committing the 1 or 2 requisite to be able to get there wouldn't be too bad for this deck.
It's a lot. Well, I mean, a lot of Shoto's attacks are ranged, so it's almost only in there for that flip to flood, you know?
Mm-hmm. That is true. I mean, I think I overvalue that for what it's worth. I value clogging a lot.
The -4 speed is amazing. Just not against Shoto.
It's never gonna proc. It's never gonna proc in this matchup.
Never.
Everything's ranged.
Except for the ones that aren't.
Frigid Heatwave. You always love the draw too.
That's kind of cool. I don't know how they did that with their hands, but it looked like it swapped halfway through. I was like, whoa. Interesting.
The player names. It's a little bit hard to swap in between, especially since we jump from round to round, but we have Lenoko over at the top and we have Bromley over at the bottom.
That must have been what they're doing with the hands, where they show that no cards are entering and leaving.
Mm-hmm.
That's a question.
As long as the cards are always visible on board, and you know, at generally no point the cards leave, and you always make it very clear that whenever your hand comes back into play, that you're not bringing any new cards. There's not that much of a trouble. At the same time, we are at locals levels here, so you know, while yes, of course, we want to be stringent with the rules, not to a point where you know. We have a little bit more leniency just because this is middle of the week and we're just trying to recreate the locals vibe here. So a lot of damage here coming in with this Frigid Heatwave here, an additional 6.
That's a lot of damage.
That do be a lot of damage. All right, and now it's a lot of speed too. So we're going in for 11 damage and 8 speed. So I'd be very surprised if this was blocked.
Shoto being a 7-hander, there's the likelihood that they're either going to try to throw another one if possible. Says I have 8 cards in hand. Jeez.
Pretty good. Frigid Heatwave is a good card. All right, so we will attempt to block here. And our check is an attack.
You said no, that's a fail.
Yeah, that's a heavy.
So the player is just trying to tap him down a little.
Yep. So going down 216. Or that was the wrong one. Whoops.
The other one.
The other one.
All right, Shoto's just going right back into getting some more foundations.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really control versus control deck.
Pretty much, yeah. So we're at 10 now. So unless we're setting ourselves up with deadlock, which I don't see us, like both decks have pretty devastating deadlock abilities, so I don't see either of our opponents here willingly going into deadlock, but very comfortably set up here for both defense and offense, with the hand to back it up. You know, I think 5 or 4 cards left in Shoto's hand, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Scary.
Nope. We ended up twinning coincidentally.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I realized it from the get-go.
Oh. Now I gotta go change my shirt. I'll be back. I'm just kidding.
All right, so we check an attack on that, which costs us the additional 1 here for the Mineta attack.
Try to play mind games with my partner commentator.
Right.
It's not working. Oh man.
All right, so we do have the
Throw
throw here.
attacks. Okay. He's blocking. Ooh. Okay. Everyone's like, "Oh, jellyfish guy face reveal."
Yeah.
I promise it was here the whole time.
Of
I might
course.
be wrong. Ooh, okay, he's going in for another attack. That's a lot of attacks.
It's a decent amount, yeah. So, I mean, you got a healthy hand too, right? Like, even after all this, still having 4 cards left in hand. So, in a pretty good position here. Going in with the setup strike.
Setup strike is doing what setup strike does best, setting up another attack.
You would think so, yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing.
Say that.
Todoroki is a 20. So, like, he is in a position where, a few bursty attacks can definitely get there. But, he still has the ability to be able to commit himself to turn off anything that might be too dangerous, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we take the 5. Yeah. We're back to 15 all. So will the setup strike set up another attack, or are we just going to call it here?
That's a good question. Shoto's up, so if this is that, kill combo that he's attempting, he's just gonna be like, nope.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? Like,
oh yeah, there it is.
All right, here we go. Indiscriminate, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah. 1.3 million votes. So now the question is he going to try to force that Todoroki to say no to that? He has a lot of foundations tapped out.
He's got a lot of foundations. I think he's in a good spot to turn off at this point. I mean, he's got a progressive difficulty of 4 on his next check. Like, it's a pretty good time to do it, I would say. If your opponent tries to do anything cheeky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like now it looks like he's going for the enhance to bump up some damage, I would say. So.
Oh, he reduced the damage with Desperate Times based off the number of cards in his pool.
Mm-hmm.
I like all the different token devices. Yeah, he said, I'm going to go ahead and give this thing plus 5 damage or 6 or 7. He has 7 committed foundations.
Yep.
Whew.
So using Todoroki to turn off something, I would assume it's the damage buff, but I'm not entirely sure.
Now here comes the kicker. If they have another of that 1.3 million volts.
Yeah, at that point that's scary.
Yeah. Now, but can he pass that? That would be checking a 9 total. I don't think it's realistic at all.
No, it's not doable. All right, looks like we will attempt to block here. Not with that one, but that one, yeah. And we are not clearing that check, so we will go and take that damage. They're going down to, okay, well, lowering the damage down to a cool 3, which is not too bad. That was basically basically served as a free review, is effectively what it was. And that's what it is, right? Like sometimes, even if you don't actually care all that much about blocking the attack, there could be value in just failing the check anyways, or just going for it. One, if it passes, cool, you end up actually protecting yourself from some damage. And if not, then at least you're in a position where you reviewed an additional card and give yourself a better shot at being able to draw into another attack.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that I've trying to get a little bit better at, is realizing that and be like, oh yeah, I can just attempt to block, and if it passes, cool. I just need the card draw, like especially like the smaller hand players, or even All Might. So
All right, well, Frigid Heatwave is a great way to start, especially since you're just gonna, you already have that 6, so fresh draw 2 here, and then potentially being able to push for additional damage afterwards. So, as usual, very solid turn 1 play.
Or I just got thrown into inactivity. That's funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is a really good position here. Drawing more cards, checking 2+ ultras there, but we'll get a buff of 2 damage here. Oi.
Yeah, he didn't have any momentum. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's still good on defense, don't get me wrong, but it's so much better on offense.
Yep. So now using Shoto's ability, let's buff up that damage. An additional 8. So 12 damage here and 6 high. Here comes the sun.
Oh god, it's turning on the heat. Absolutely. If you can't kill your opponent, just realize, hey, it's gonna come right back at you.
Yeah, the crackback is very real in this game, and that's definitely, you have to put yourself in a position to know like when is too far. I think is definitely the biggest thing. So Shoto here does have the capability, which is like really good offensively too, to like if your opponent basically has 1 enhance that can really turn off an attack and that's basically it, Shoto can just say no to that and then like effectively just progress with the rest of the turn just fine. Now obviously you do lose out on the ability to buff up your like coming attacks after that, but if you're in a position right now where like you know, just this going in will basically put your opponent lethal to anything, then it's wholly worth it.
All right, yeah, I mean, unless you're dying on your turn for some weird reason, I don't know if I would try my hardest to avoid using Shoto's stuff on my own turn, like the commit at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to save, but you know, if you're gonna close out the game, it's not the end of the world here. So exactly, we do have a half block here, which brings Lenoco down to a cool 9 life. And now a Froglash. I love this card in this deck.
So I'm gonna go ahead and draw one. Yeah, Proglashing is such a good card.
It's really good. I mean, you're extending the usage of your committed foundations. It swings in just for a lot of damage here. So here we're swinging in for, I mean, effectively lethal from the looks of it.
Oh wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's an additional 9 at 5 high. So that's 15 damage, just clean here for pretty speedy. So it's like we will try attempt the mid block again, and 5, 6, 7. All right, going down to 2.
Mineta is dead.
Potentially, I mean, effectively, if this passes, which it very much should, then yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, here's a throw.
And that's, I mean, it's effectively a throw.
It's a pseudo throw.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it at this point. I think Mineta is in position no matter what happens here. He's going to be taking at least 2 damage, and that'll be game 1 going towards Shoto.
Shoto. You need to get like something for that. Whenever you say Shoto, it just has like Endeavor's face just pop up. You know what I mean?
Yep. So I'm not biased here or anything, but Shoto won. No, I mean it goes either way here, definitely for both players here. You know, Mineta being able to go first in this upcoming will definitely swing the advantage over to his end, if he opts to do so. And we saw game 1s that were very much favored towards one player, and yet still force a game 3 when both players adapt to a point where they were in a comfortable position. So I think there's very much lots of game to go here.
So, oh man, I just had something and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I remembered. Have you had a chance to try out the new Mulligan rules and whatnot?
I have. I like them a lot. I think the asymmetrical aspect of the mulligan rules does a couple of things. One, we still need to look at the data, but from our internal testings and what we've seen the first couple of weeks, it has helped balance out the first turn advantage. Secondly, the fact that it's asymmetrical, while it is weird, don't get me wrong, it's very funky. But the funk means that there's actual decision factors into whether you want to be the player going first or second, and I think that's really interesting because a lot of games going first is basically the default, 99% of the time. Whereas here, based on a character's, starting hand size, now 5-handers could have a very interesting position where they draw the additional card, and basically being a 6-hander in the early turns makes a big difference. So I think the new mulligan rules not only balances out the game in terms of first player advantage, but additionally actually provides game decisions, which I love. I love the flexibility that, if I could build a deck in a way that actually works off axis to what most decks do and probably benefits from going second, that could be advantageous to me with my opponent wanting a deck to go first. So I love the fact that it turned what it was a non-decision into a decision.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like I said, the second it became a thing, I was just trying to say, all right, I gotta get my feet wet for this. Feel how it feels going first, second, which one I'd rather do. And yeah, it really depends on the character. Like an example that we saw, Shoji or Mezzo Shoji.
Yeah, Mezzo Shoji.
He really benefits going second because he could form right away back into that card that they potentially reviewed, starting out with like 8 cards in hand or something like that.
Right? Yeah.
It's kind of cool that you can just do stuff like that. And honestly, with the recent Kirishima Boogeyman issue, was now that he can't start off with that, that hardened jab right away, right into 2 foundations. So even the whole attacking on the first turn thing, that I think that feels great now too. I like it. It definitely makes you think. It really makes you think about, do I go first or second? It's not like a hard snap right away.
Exactly. And I think that actually being a decision is like super important because, the more options that you have as a player, the more not only does that open up playing, but it also opens up deck building, which I think is, we really want to be able to incentivize players to deck build to the best of their abilities and to do what works best for them. So.
Oh yeah. It's just another factor to factor in with deck building and matchups. Like, do I want this character to go second? Do I want this character to go first? So,
exactly.
It's I like it. I think it was a good change personally.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep our eyes on it naturally. We're gonna see what we, what the numbers show us. But for the most part, people felt weird about it because don't get me wrong, I agree, it's weird. But once
change
you get,
is weird.
Yeah, but once you get over the weirdness, I think it has shown early benefits. So, all right, and we're kicking it off now, going over and setting up our foundations over here as Mineta. All right,
just gonna get them all out there.
Yeah, 3 on 3. Once again.
Yep.
And are we gonna go for 5? No, we're gonna stay here on a clean 4. Four build, pretty standard. So we'll see how Shoto can respond here. And I mean, this game very early on went very build heavy. Both players building out to like 8 and 7 foundations respectively. So we'll see what happens here. And we do see the review of a irrefutable force of nature. Makes sense here. You're probably not going to be sealing too much, I feel like, here. So get some more utility instead.
They do run the 2 checks. That's why. Because they don't want to start off. I'm pretty sure we saw the 2 check last game, right?
We did.
Or the 2 check. Yeah. So they're trying to play it safe. They do not want to check into that 2 check. Granted, you have Shoto to commit to help pass that, but if and would rather not.
Yep. I mean, here committing the Todoroki here early on. So is that disrespecting your opponent in a way, saying, I don't think you're going to do anything to me, that I'm going to need my character to turn off anything this first turn?
I think that they weighed their options at least, like, oh hey, I'd rather have this foundation than the ability to shut you down.
Right.
What are you gonna do? Hit me? And this is where we see the Mineta like OTK combo that's never ever seen before. Like, what is this?
Right.
That's funny.
Did I download that picture yet? I did not. So let's go find out. And no, I didn't. All right. Well, eat my sticky balls here for Mineta. It's the first attack. That'll never get not weird to say on stream.
It's the greatest thing. I mean, name one scenario when you can say this and it just be a norm. You know?
Yeah, where everyone just casually is okay with it. Great block here. Good height. Breaker is also exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, we're gonna get another one here.
Yeah, surprisingly, Shoto is just so good on both offense and defense with all these breakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I got kicked in for an activity. Wow. Discord does not like me today.
Yeah, sometimes it does that to me. Sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it's the J next to my name that's preventing me from being booted, but
probably. Got to request that off.
Yep. Okay, probably just talking through the enhances at this point. And I think that's what this game provides so much, is the fact that you have so many cards that are able to manipulate the way the board state works, what cards do, how, you know, the potency of cards. There's so many micro decisions here. That is like, while there is the RNG factor of the check, don't get me wrong, there is so much skill in being able to align up the right set of enhances to be able to maximize what you're going to be able to do against your opponent.
Correct, yeah. You know, that Classmate Introductions is another one of my favorite cards.
It's really good.
It's good for that first, that first attack usually. Mm-hmm. But if they can't block it, then you're like, cool, here's more speed.
Yep.
They still can't block it. That's fine. Here's more speed.
Yeah, it just pays dividends on that front.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It has that Jiro vibe written all over it, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, and here we go. We are going to full block. No, half block. All right. So we will be taking 5.
Mineta could, yeah, I was about to say Mineta could go for a push. Shoto's canceled.
and committed out. So I mean,
committed, yeah, that's not it.
Committed out, doesn't have his character enhanced to be able to turn off the indiscrimination.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of volts.
That's a lovely combo right there. Just being able to tap your opponent down and then be like, cool, now that you're tapped down, here's a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I don't think this is enough to count to 15.
No, it's not, but he does run throws, so that could definitely help in the future. So he's at 5.
Completely committing.
He has to commit.
That's Todoroki is explosive enough that you can definitely do 26 damage. This is...
I think it's too early for him to be able to do a lot of damage. His discard pile isn't, loaded yet.
I guess, but like okay. Well, he's able to mill himself up more and more every time it happens, right? So we'll see. I mean, he reviews here. I don't know if you would review an attack, to be honest, but okay. Well, either way, Shoto going down to 5, and now we'll see. You have to build, right? Because you need at least maybe something. Yeah, and then now you have the 1 to maybe help you pass the check afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, Mineta is still really healthy right now.
True. We're going to start with a frigid heat wave. That's going to help the mills, right? There's already 3 attacks in there. And then 1 attack. Just 1 attack. So an additional 2 damage, and not enough to be able to draw.
Yeah, look, it's my favorite card. Fulfill my duty.
Yeah, look at that.
Let's go ahead and cancel that.
Let's see, where's the Heat Wave there? So the draw 2 here would have been super key, but I think the mills are just important as well. Just try and get as many ranged attacks in there. Okay, there we go. There's the draw. I guess he did have 6.
Yeah, he has 6 now.
Oh, okay. He got 2 of 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's incredibly good. That's going to help a ton in terms of like what this push is going to be able to do. Or maybe, you know, you just get in this big damage one time that's almost guaranteed to get in. And then you just build and coast, right?
Yep. Mineta can't tap you down because he's committed this turn, so... Yeah, just gonna eat it. Yep, that makes sense.
Go down to 16.
7.
Or 17.
You're good.
Or 15.
15?
Yeah, okay, so that's what we're seeing here. Just a quick get in some big 10 damage and then just build, protect ourselves for the next turn.
All good.
Yep.
Yeah, water is good. You get that rescue completed. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
On Shoto.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's, I mean, it's kind of funny that we say we poke for 10 damage, but that's effectively what this was. Just a casual poke for 10. Just poke for 10. And
it depends. If it's no mood, 10 damage isn't it?
All right.
You say what? That's it?
All right, pretty good. Getting the full check on every single one of his foundations. Sitting at a cool 9 with 8 available to defend himself with. And now Mineta going into his turn. But, you know, Shoto being at 5, so, you know, Mineta's incredibly good at clogging up the card pool. So if he can get, you know, Shoto into a couple of uncomfortable positions where he's just going to be stuck, you know, clearing his foundations to be able to commit or to check for things, it'll be a tough position.
Or some throws.
Or some throws, true.
He doesn't have a wall cling sitting out there, so that could be lethal. We shall see. He says, "Look, I get nothing."
That is super unfortunate. I mean, you're not dead, but that is tough. and that's the thing, guys. Never call it quits, because your opponent, you could be at 1 life, and if your opponent draws dead, you have a whole new opportunity to be able to make things happen. But this is incredibly unfortunate here for the Mineta player. I mean, even just 1 attack potentially to try and force some things, but nope.
That happens, you know, it happens.
It happens. And the unfortunate is the reality that a hand like this means that, you know, defensively, he might just end up checking attacks when he needs to start blocking, because even now he's still clearing more and more foundations. So those attacks are clumped up somewhere, and they are going to, they're going to come back with a vengeance. This is unfortunate.
Oh man, that's a... Hey, he has everything up and active and ready to go. So I mean, it's not terrible.
He's good to defend, absolutely.
It's just, man, I've been in that boat so many times where like they have 1 health and like, I just need 1 attack, then I can, you know, use celebrity status to put this throw back into my top and draw it, and I'm good. I know it.
Frigid
and then he
Heat
just
Wave.
all foundations.
Yep. Frigid Heat Wave, back to back, draw 2 more cards, draw more attacks. This is, I mean, Shoto saw everything, and Mineta saw, well, nearly nothing, unfortunately. And then it goes back to what Tony too was telling us in his interview earlier today, though, that like you want your draw cards, because your draw cards allow you to be able to extend the parts of the game where you might be in trouble for sure.
You can't use those draw cards if you don't have attack cards.
That is true. That is true, unfortunately.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
It looks like he just ended the enhanced step, I think.
Yep, he did go ahead and use that. Probably just prevent this from doing any more damage that it needs to, because it can line up a lot of damage. So, and here, you know, yeah, and then here, Bromley being, you know, recognizing that between the draw 2 and the added damage, you definitely want the draw 2 to be able to extend the plays afterwards. So,
if anything, yeah, exactly. Ooh.
All right, and here's a throw.
Is that grasping tape toss? No. Oh no.
Yeah, it's grasping tape toss. Yeah.
How ironic is it has Mineta in the background of that card?
It's thematic.
You see this? This is you.
Yeah.
Look at his face in the background.
So this is a 10 damage throw at the moment.
Yeah, he plus ultra'd it.
Yep.
Wait, how did plus ultra leave the card pool? Does it leave the card pool?
No. I think he just checked plus ultra, and then he used Todoroki to be able to give it +5, if I'm correct.
Maybe. Oh, they caught it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I know all the other actions in this the set right now all remove themselves.
Right.
So I'm not surprised. It happens so much. But yeah, that Pulse Ultra card is ridiculous. But here's, a lot of extra damage.
Mm-hmm.
And on the throw, he's just going to go ahead and just bump up those numbers, and you're taking half regardless. So that's a spicy meatball.
Yep. In terms of gameplay, guys, of course, just a reminder, we are the commentating team, so if things happen on the game state, we are just here to commentate on it. It is to the players to maintain board state. We will not be interfering with games. If, anything, naturally if anything too critical happens, we'll try and step in, but for the most part, we leave it to the players to make sure they call the judges whenever something is needed.
And it happens. Like you said, this is like that pseudo local scene, right?
Exactly. So. Exactly. All right, bringing back that damage down to something a little bit more manageable, down to 7.
Shoto's definitely committing out a lot. I wonder if that it's interesting. No, I'm curious. I mean, it's still anyone's game at this point.
Yeah, like we're in a point where Mineta's still clearing foundations here. That is crazy.
Mineta's just like, yeah, I'll lose a health. Go ahead and tap some down for me.
Yeah, like this is like Mineta. I mean, we said Mineta was ready to defend, and that's exactly what's happening here. I mean, doing a phenomenal job of staying at a very healthy, chilling. He's coasting, and it does look like we're now out of aggression as far as Shoto goes, and we're just gonna build some, have 3 to 4 cards left in hand, and then go and try and defend against Mineta. And here's to hoping Mineta gets a. I mean, we've seen nothing but foundations on checks and the full hand. Like he has to draw some attacks by now, right? Like there has to be attacks in there somewhere.
Shoto's also pushing that potential cycle point, and that's. If Shoto cycles before he can kill off his opponent, that's painful.
It's super rough. It puts Shoto in a really bad spot in terms of just like he loses all his damage scaling. I mean, he any future rigid heat waves need to be reset. And if he mills out too many attacks, then like you're really in a tough position. So.
Oh yeah.
That's why you do aim to have your Todorokis be built a little bit thicker than most decks, just because the cycle ends up hurting so much if you do end up getting there.
And like I said, the more you have in your discard pile, the better. I mean, he has. I'm assuming that's 11 ranged attacks in his discard at the moment. That's no.
All right, and that's it. That's what we were talking about. I mean, you found his throws.
But can he pump up the numbers? That's the kicker.
Does need to get to 10. 10 would guarantee the hit here, aside from Walkling, which will say no.
Walkling says, yeah, nah, I'm good.
And
it looked like the Mineta player was fishing for potential more attacks while they let off with that card draw, calling for backup. I mean, they can bump up the speed and damage just a little bit. Oh, he's going to do the draw discard. Okay. Might still be fishing.
Yeah, I mean, on your kill turn, the cycle's not too bad. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he's digging for. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't have enough attacks lined up to be able to close it out here, or at least attempt to.
Classmate, give it some speed, give it some damage. Getting those throws to an odd number just to get the guaranteed +1 on top of that after they block it. It's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Breaker 2 again.
Breaker 2 incredibly good here. We'll get that. And then because of the wall cling, this whole deal, nada.
Not a single damage. Which Mineta is like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and lose a health and tap you down further.
Right, pretty much.
All right, now let's see if...
Life.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, life is a resource, and the only one that matters is the last one. So this is gonna be a well. I mean, he has got Shoto to be able to turn it off, but still, this is could be lined up to be a very strong indiscriminate.
Yeah, Shoto's gonna have to shut it down, or just block it outright.
Or just block it outright. Yeah, I mean, it's a 3 low.
It's doable.
It is doable.
He's definitely gonna stun him out one and then a second one. So, I mean, it could be lethal. Mineta has the ability to give it plus damage since he has a card in his pool, so not terrible.
All right, now we've got the flip, changing the height. Yep.
Go ahead and give it some extra damage. It's not my first attack. It's not. You play the blocks, so classmate introductions no longer necessary for anything. See, now comes the fun part where the player can really play mind games and just be like, yeah, do you want to block this 5 damage attack? Because I'm just going to, do it again.
Yep. All right. So now we've committed down and we've left Shoto up with only 2 available to help clear this check.
And he's not canceling it. All right.
I guess we're just committing to the full block here.
Most likely.
Because this is now sitting at a cool 12 damage.
There's the block.
Yeah, there's the block. There's the check for 5/6.
Ooh. Can you get one more attack? One more attack. It's all he needs. Let's see.
He needs to pass it too, right? So
he has Mineta, so just in case. It's gonna be a hard one. It might come down to the check.
Murdoch, this is the second round at the moment. I should definitely update my round counter now that I think about it.
We're rounding up. We're done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, there's your favorite card in doubles.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Hey, you know what? Maybe Shoto draws 7 seven foundations.
It could happen.
Nah, where are you gonna go with the grasping throw here?
This could be another one.
It's gonna be a big damage one also. Not only the stun is super gross because it turns off the one foundation there that could stop this from going too crazy. No, not stunning. Okay. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter here, but this is basically swinging for 11. So taking out half of Lenoko's health here, regardless. And okay,
he stunned him.
All right, he stunned him. All right, okay, fair enough.
He probably thought like, well, I'm either going to use it and lose it, or get stunned out anyway. Maybe there's a chance he only drew into 1 attack.
I mean, this is swinging in for... It's not the fastest throw. It is only 2. So
he's stuffing in a block and take half.
Yep.
But now he is sitting really low. And
well, it's 1 throw to call it here, basically.
He said, I'm going to go ahead and lose 1 health. Commit you down. Might as well.
You know what? At this point, 2 definitely equals 1. So... But yeah, no, here's the check. We have a frog, which is going to be able to restand 2 of the committed foundations here, and that is, I have to imagine, pretty much over at this point.
He could still pass a check. Not likely, but possible.
It's possible. You know, I'll give you that. It is very much in the realm of possibility here. It is a 4 high. So it's not the end all be all here.
Like I said, there's that chance that he didn't draw another attack, and if he can successfully block this, he's gonna go for it.
No, we don't,
nope,
because it's a +3.
Not.
It's a +3, which would push him out of range of what he can pay for. So Todoroki taking it down 2-0 against Mineta.
That was very control versus control. I mean, it was drawing into all foundations. That was rough.
That was tough. Mineta was definitely in a position to definitely be able to do a strong push, and just his deck opted to tell him, yeah, not today. I don't feel like it. But yeah, for sure.
He played it well though. That's Mineta's an interesting deck to play. So is Shoto. I mean, like I said, they're both so control heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, their card pools lend very much to trying to prevent your opponent doing what they want to do, right? Shoto has the ability to just turn off what your opponent does, whereas Mineta just kind of says, like, I'm just going to clog up all your plays. Like, your foundations are going to commit, your card pool is going to get flooded, and I'm just going to make it really bothersome to try and do everything that you want to do.
It's well done, though.
Yeah, we do still have time. We could jump into that table that you wanted us to peep at.
I think it was 25 or 26.
Well, 26 is out, so we could check 25 real quick, see what's going on there.
It was 25.
It was Bakugo versus...
Mina.
Okay. Mina, okay.
Let's see here.
We're at 10-16 from the looks of it.
Mina's been an interesting character that I've been tinkering with.
Yeah. I actually have not messed with her at all, now that I think about it.
I had some cutesy combo I was attempting, and it was just not good.
It just wasn't doing it.
her ability pretty much lets you, once per turn, after you check a card, you can discard a card to, there you go, you got it up, perfect. Once you discard a card, after you do the check, you can pretty much play that checked card for free as your next form. So I was attempting her on Chaos using the Tokiyami stuff with the Summon Dark Shadow action during an attack, and using her effect in response to the checking of the Summon Dark Shadow.
Yeah.
Prior to her getting committed. But then it's just like, because then you're locked in, because you have to commit her immediately following that.
Right.
So I was like, this is not.
Well, it looks like Bakugo here doing what Bakugo does and just stringing attack after attack after attack.
The Mina player is not. I don't know. This is interesting. I've always been afraid of blocking Bakugo attacks.
It's just because you get... And Bakugo is definitely one of those decks. I mean, I'll let you finish your thought, but I think we're going on the same track line here.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, you're going to flood their... If you don't block, you're going to flood their pool. You know what I mean? Which is great. But, yeah, it's...
Yeah, like, it's like you clog their pool, but you're also just taking damage. So, again, we're back onto the situation where it's like... Well, you kind of, like... Well, be damned if you do, be damned if you don't. Like, I don't,
right.
You know, like, yeah, the aggro deck, I'm just going to take the damage. And it's like, yeah, the aggro deck's still attacking. And it's just like, if I do block, then like you said, we're just gonna bounce those attack out of the card pool, and now all my checks are just easier to do anyway. So it's just it's tough.
It's just one of those situations where you have to choose again. Would you rather
Right?
take
Yeah.
the damage? Or let them clear out the card pool. Yeah, no, it's just Bakugo is really good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. Not surprisingly, I'm not surprised. It's a fun deck to play, especially if you get the new double front beatdowns.
Yeah, it's a very fun deck to play. Like that's all I'll say. Like the deck, like where, and I'm not too sure where. I mean, we do see a good number of Bakugo still see play. So like, nevertheless, warrants seeing like what meta share he'll get as it keeps going. But the deck is fun to play because you just get to chain these attacks and you're getting advantage and you have a bunch of things to cycle cards from your hand if you have a bit of a dead hand. So incredibly good. I mean, who doesn't want to swing in for 12, 17 damage to basically close out the game?
Right. Laughs and Nomu.
Right? Yeah. All right.
So, go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was gonna say I think that was game 3.
And I was gonna ask you. Someone asked me the other day. They said, "Hey, what is a really good, 2 decks that they can use to demo cards? Like demo how to play this card game." And I feel like Bakugo is definitely one of those characters that's really good at just introducing someone to this game. He's very thematic, so it's on point. So especially if you know the character, you can just instantly pick up and understand what he's going at. Now that being said, the Midoriya one, on the other hand, is one that I personally feel is a little bit more knowledge requirement, in my personal opinion. Like I said, not knowing which tax zones are which. I was just curious on your inputs on what decks you think are great for beginners and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I think both rival decks lend themselves to be doing flashy things, and at the very least, like they present the players with cool things, right? Like Midoriya, like you have the whole theme of like, I'm just going to sacrifice everything on this one attack, break my arm, but it's going to do a lot of damage,
Yeah.
But I will say in terms of like helping players pick up the game, I think Bakugo lends itself better to players because one, it's a more linear game plan, and it kind of just plays with itself in the sense that, if my opponent blocks, then cool, I get to do the bounce thing and I keep attacking. Whereas, like you said, Midoriya, the true power in Midoriya is once you understand what your opponent is doing, then you can start calling out the zones better, and at that point your predictions get stronger. So Midoriya rewards someone for having metagame knowledge, for understanding what cards are being played, and putting you in a position where you can predict better to prevent your opponent from doing something. So I will say on that front, if we're talking about teaching players how to play, Bakugo definitely does lend himself better between the two. But both do very exciting things, and both lend themselves to you get what the strategies are trying to do. But yeah, Midoriya definitely takes he's the kind of deck where it'll pay dividends the longer you play him, because you'll start getting a better grasp of the meta and then starting to make your calls better.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, that was kind of the vibe I was getting out of it as well. That was pretty much my exact statement back to the player. I was like, well, the more you play, the better that you're going to be. You're going to be able to, recreate that whole note taking, like, oh, I know exactly what this character has, or oh, you're playing Uraraka, you have only high attacks. We're calling high attacks for days. You know what I mean? So no, it's good that I wasn't alone with that concept. Okay, neat.
No, I think you're very much on track in terms of like where I would place it. If someone was coming to ask me in which deck they would pick up between the two in the rival deck, I think Bakugo would be my first go-to, and then Midoriya is a deck that's more fun to explore, down the line when you get better understanding. Especially with Midoriya's ability to just like pitch his whole hand, and it's like, okay, well, when's the good time that I should literally get rid of every single card in my hand?
When you have no cards in your hand, that's
right.
the best time.
Yeah, it's always the best.
No, it's nice that they have two very beginner friendly decks in the rivals, but as well as the opportunity to continue to grow on it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that they designed those pretty decently.
Yeah, and I mean both decks can utilize both secrets you can pull, right? So I mean, like your
Oh yeah.
Midoriya deck can benefit greatly from the secret you pull there, and your Bakugo deck can, benefit greatly. So at least if you buy your booster box and you pull the most hype card out of the set, well, you have a deck. With the rival deck, you got a deck they can slot right into, and it definitely works in with their constraints of their game plan.
Yeah.
So.
I think every character shares at least one symbol with one of those two decks, so that's great. Oh man.
Okay, so a casual 3 build for Sero, and then
Oh,
all right, committing the Bakugo here and going for a 4 build off here on Bakugo side.
so it looks like they sided characters out. That's interesting.
True.
I said I don't want to play Mina.
Yeah, so instead we're here with the boy Sero himself, which is very awesome. I mean, still a underutilized character for sure. His whole shtick being that you just want to reorientate your attacks, you want to reorientate your opponent's attacks, and just do a lot of funky movement in terms of which direction the attacks are going.
Mm-hmm. His once per game just lets you grab a card out of their hand, and you do that following a block on their turn. You're like, all right, you don't got a low block. I'm going to change all my attacks to lows. Good luck. Plus his good old finisher move, letting him just keep changing the direction, keep getting that attack bigger and bigger, and it's just so nice.
Yeah, it's really solid. It's like how do I call it? It's like a build your own powerful.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like, okay, sure. I mean, one, I'm gonna make it really weird for you because you're never gonna know where this attack ends up, and then second of all, it just keeps on getting stronger. So
it's just like a roulette. All right, let's see where we're landing today. All right, and I'm out of momentum. It's on high.
All right, so we do get some early aggression here, some early poke, costing 2 foundations over here for Sero. I would imagine after this poke damage, we're going to be looking towards a building.
Probably.
I don't see this. Yeah, I don't see this being enough resources to be able to commit all the way in.
Just a little hit and run.
All
yeah,
right, we're just
they're
going to
talking about their matches. Lenoko was saying that the Water Todoroki is just a horrible matchup for Mineta. All the range attacks, like, well, I can't really use sticky balls at all.
Yeah.
And when you going for your kill combo, Shoto's just ready to commit himself to say nope.
Yeah, it's super rough, and like Lenoko drawing basically dead on like the turn that he very much could have closed out the game is just super.
I love it. It's just like, look at this. That was priceless. But man, does that feel too real? I mean, that's happened to me so many times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, well, I guess the way I had pictured this turn before I drew my hand was a little slightly different.
Which goes back into what you're talking about, how like sometimes you just throw out a block to fail it on purpose. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was actually worried for a second there, Lonoko, because I know that you actually stream also. So I only realized after we started watching your game for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh no, I hope we're not stepping over his stream. And then I noticed that today was not that day, so you're pretty good.
Not today.
All right, here's the secret rare.
Ooh, that's a good card.
It's an incredibly good starter for the deck, for sure. I mean, it just it sets up the rest of the attacks that Bakugo wants to line up just incredibly well.
Now the kicker is, this is with Bakugo's play style, you always have to be aware in the back of your mind regarding that first attack, because they have that it's not long lasting explosions, is it? I might be wrong. Now I gotta look. It probably is. I just can't think. Let's see here. Not water on here. Instant explosive release. That's the word.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna get a long lasting here. Um, the beauty being that if it leaves the card pool because it's blocked, at the very least it will go into momentum, which will give him, which will give Bakugo extra gas going into his later turns.
Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of momentum that Bakugo needs, but it definitely doesn't hurt to have it.
Yep.
I love those card sleeves just saying "Why so salty" on it. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, webcam games have made me really bad with my poker face, because like I think I have a really good poker face when I play in like big tournaments. Oh, yeah. But because I know in webcam games my opponent actually can't see my face, I've gotten really bad at actually just looking salty when something doesn't go my way. God.
That's funny.
I'm like, I know the stream can see, but like my opponent can't see, so like at least it gives them a show if they see my emotion.
I'm not angry.
Yeah, I'm not angry. You're angry. Whoa! What's? I guess we see this scoop here. Oh, probably due to time. Probably due to time. Is that 4 characters? That's 3-sided characters
deck,
though.
Just like I have all these options.
That's funny. God, yeah, that's funny. All right, so that is character it out, I guess.
I guess. I mean, you'll never know what to expect if you're running all the characters, right?
Yeah, but I think that's what it was. I think we went to time. Cool. Yeah, time in a round. Players finish up the round. That was a couple of minutes ago. Very exciting though across the board. I imagine I probably finished in a tie. They were probably going into game 3. But I mean, I love the fact that you can side characters in this game. I think
it's great.
Like not just because for a lot of games, you know, siding out a card changes your strategy in that you don't know what you're going to draw. But in this game, changing character literally changes your health and hand size, which changes so many dynamics about the game, let alone just the ability. So like it was. Oh, so siding in 3 characters, I think, is amazing. That's awesome.
it's interesting.
Okay, I said it was awesome. I don't know if I'm saying it's competitive. All right, let's be real clear about my words here.
It's definitely an interesting take. I mean, clearly there are certain matchups, right, that are just rock paper scissors style. Like, hey, if I'm playing this character, you're playing this character, I have such a stronger potential, even though my deck has not changed at all.
Right.
And it's just having that as an option to go into. Now, if your opponent does the same thing and you both side characters in at the same time, that's just weird.
I mean, at that point, right, you're just like throwing each other off. But you might, right? So I think you're always benefited to at least how do I say? I think you should always make it look like you're siding out your character, just to get your opponent guessing, right? Like at no point, which is kind of a problem for me because I sleeve my characters in a different colored sleeve. So I guess it's gonna be I don't even know. I have to check if that's even legal.
I don't know. I always, whenever I side, I always put my character into my side and then I just put a card face down, even if I'm not changing it. Just, I don't want my opponent to see me changing it and then they adjust fire or something.
Right,
like that,
but that's the thing. Since my character is in a different sleeve, you'll know it's what card I just put. Yeah. So I guess maybe I need to because technically my character could just go in the deck, right? Like I could just put a character in the deck.
Yes.
So I guess I don't know if I don't know.
I'd have to ask specifically, but I'm pretty sure, like, let's say, for an example, you're playing Jiro and you also have Momo in your deck, right? Because you want to have the extra 6 check or the 0 block, whatever. You could potentially side Jiro into the main deck and Momo to the...
right?
And then you could then side in a whole 10 card additional package. You know what I mean? You're still 10 card now. Like I said, I don't know if that's, blessed off or not, so don't take it for
I mean, it's I think that's legal.
It's a concept, right?
Yeah. Either way, I mean, just to say, it's it lends itself to a lot of variety in terms of what you can do. So I think
correct.
You can fake out your opponent. I think there's always a benefit to at least taking your character card back and keeping your opponent guessing, even if you're going to swap it out or not. So
exactly, yeah. It's better be safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Could you keep your character face down until you both say so?
Yes.
Ideally, that's how you're supposed to do it,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah. You definitely have the right to withhold the information of if you cited out your character or not until you guys are ready to play. And that happens after both you and your opponent are done mulliganing, so you could have it aside, wait, and ready to go, and then you both reveal at the same time or whatnot.
Yeah, I usually don't flip my character face up until after my opponent has declared who's going first or second.
Mm-hmm.
And after they've drawn their... Well, I guess I would have to reveal to draw my hand size, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's usually after they... Or I declare who's going first or second, that's when I reveal who I'm playing as.
Yep, because once you've made that decision, you've effectively communicated to your opponent that you're done siding, and then you guys can proceed with the game, so...
Correct, yep.
All right.
I'm new to the whole side deck stuff, and I like it.
I love side decks. Especially since I'm very keen to smoke screening my opponents and just completely turning strategy. Like, my Shoto deck, at the moment, like, hard swaps into an Asui deck. And that's that. And I don't even know if it's good, but like that's just the way I got it built.
The only thing that scares me is the no deck size limit, because, like I said, we were talking about that earlier. Like, oh, I'm just gonna add all these cards in. I'll make some cuts after. Like, all right, cool. Let's see where we're at. Why do I have 30 more cards than what I started?
Right?
With?
Yeah.
Well, let's try it. You know.
Yeah, let's go with it. So, it's that flexibility is fantastic, but it's also dangerous because
it is.
Because now you're making cuts, and all of a sudden your cuts turned into you added like another dozen cards, and you're like, what happened?
Like, nope, back to the drawing board.
Yep. Oy. Very exciting matchups. I mean, people have been talking about Ojiro, so we'll see if we can line up Ojiro. I think a lot of people have said Restart. I think you yourself have also said that Restart is playing the deck. So if we're still playing it out, we can probably lock down the table that he's been playing at and get that matchup up. But yeah, so we'll try and line up a couple of matches, guys. The round is wrapping up. People are finishing up in OT. So we'll go ahead and take a quick fiver. Give ourselves the opportunity to stretch our backs a little bit, and then we'll be back with the third and final round of the tournament. So we'll catch you guys in a few minutes.
I'm gonna go change my shirt real quick so we're not matching.